Welcome. Welcome to the session. My name is Sangmok, Engineering Manager for Bixby Views at Viv Labs Samsung Electronics. The main topic of this session is about Bixby Views, the UI framework for Bixby, which provides a rich set of components that you can use to build a visual interface for your capsule. What's new and important this year around the Bixby View is around devices. There are many different types of devices, some with small, large screen display, some with tiny display like watches, some with touch input, while there are some other devices with no touch input but has a remote controller-based input like TVs. As a capsule developer, we want our capsule to be available on many different devices. We will go over how Bixby Views can help you achieve that goal. Before we jump into more details about Bixby View, let me do a quick recap of Bixby UI. What are the UI elements we as a developer have control of? Think of a natural language question like whether today, while Bixby is thinking it displays a transient screen that displays temporary dialog message. Then when it has an answer, it displays a screen like the one on the right side. And if you look at the top, it displays dialog message. In the middle, it displays content area. And at the bottom, it displays conversation drivers. Bixby View is about content area where you have pretty complex layout to display weather information, like this example. It provides building blocks for content area. Let me introduce Bixby Views by describing what it can do for your capsule. I'd like to summarize it as this way. It allows you to add easy-to-use, delightful UI to your capsule that works across devices in a developer-friendly way. In the first part of this presentation, we are going to focus on the first line about adding easy-to-use, delightful UI. Bixby View is a UI framework, and creating a good one is not an easy task. One important aspect of it is having a good balance between flexibility and consistency. Consistency matters here because it affects the ease of use. We went through design iterations, and I'd like to use analogy to Lego blocks to explain the design iterations we went through. The first version was like Lego Duplo with a larger chunk of Lego blocks. And when you think of in code, it had very few parameters. So it was not very flexible, but when it works, it was very usable. In the second version, we shoot for the extreme opposite. It was like a powder of plastic. We could shape that into any forms. You can think of in code, it was like HTML where I can specify any pixel size for text or any random colors. With the capsules we were building out of this version 2, they all look different and work different. We thought maybe we had too much flexibility. From end user point of view, capsules were not easy to use. What we have today, version 3, we are trying to find right balance. It provides a good amount of flexibility while maintaining coherent look and feel that's important for usability. Let's look at some examples in real world to see Bixby View in action. The first one is movie recommendation list. The second one coming from Yelp capsule, it displays a list of restaurants. The third one is also from the Yelp capsule to display detailed view of a restaurant. There are a few interesting components here. Let me highlight them. The first one is a thumbnail card. Thumbnail card, as the name implies, it displays a thumbnail image of this movie. It can use custom aspect ratio. It displays 2 text slots. They have different text sizes. The second one, it has a different color of soft gray. Below that, for the regular movie items, it's using cell card. This one displays square-shaped image on the left and movie title in the middle. Image card is used for restaurant list. Compared to previous two, this one is information dense. It's using 3 text slots. First one for the movie restaurant name, second for cuisine type, the third one for the rating information and number of reviews. You can see that it's using a custom icon for the review rating information to express their brand. One thing to note about these 3 card components is that they speak coherent visual language. When something is a card in Bixby views, they have the same semi-transparent background and rounded corner, which give a card look. Let's say when our capsule user, when they interact with dozens of different capsules, when they look at the UI, when there's something looks like a card, then communicate that it is a UI element that's tappable and they can dive into more detail. Here is another component called cell area component. This component is useful when you have 2 pieces of information that forms a group. In this example, it's used to display open hour information. There are 3 groups of open hour information, so we are using 3 cell area component. One thing to note about the naming, cell area component has a cell as the first word that indicates type of layout. We looked at cell card, so it also had the cell as the first word. That means these 2 components, cell area and cell card, they share the same layout pattern. They can have one optional image on the left. They can display up to 2 text in the middle. Here's another interesting component called compound card. What's interesting about this one, it has the same consistent card look to it, but it can be created by combining multiple existing components. In this particular example, it was created using cell area, single line, paragraph, and title area. This gives you a lot of flexibility for you when you want to create a card. But because it's reusing each component, it looks coherent with other components. Let's look at more examples for the details view. This is a details view of a movie, restaurant details page, and weather details page. In details view, image is very important information to display. That's why we provide 3 different image components. The first one is plain image. When you have one image to display, you can use this component. You can use custom aspect ratio, and there is an object fit option to display that image. This component is not just static, it's interactive. When you tap on it, it will open a full screen lightbox viewer where you can zoom in, zoom out, and pan around the image. When there are multiple images to display, you can use image list component shown in the below. This one, again, interactive. When you tap on it, it will open a full screen lightbox viewer. Image carousel is a very popular component. When you have multiple images to display about a restaurant, you can use this component. User can swipe left and right to navigate around the images. Location is often very important information to display in details view. We provide a map card where you can use one or multiple pins to display the location information. Also, you can use your custom icon that matches your brand. Paragraph is a very basic component. One thing I'd like to mention is that there are 9 different styles, and the naming of style is usage and size. For example, title XXL is the largest style we have. We expect this to be used for title text, and the size is extra large. The smallest one in the list is called legal. we expect that to be used for legal text. It has a soft gray color that looks and works for legal text. When you want to do a pretty complex layout with multiple columns and multiple rows, you can use horizontal vertical boxes component, like the one shown in this example. As you can see, there's a large variation in these examples, but they maintain coherent look, which is very important for usability. Now it's a good time for some demo. We are going to create a list view for movie agent capsule using image card and thumbnail card. I'm switching to Bixby Studio, the integrated development environment for capsules. Let's navigate. I already opened the movie agent capsule. View-related files are located on the resources directory. We have 4 views files for this capsule. We are going to look at movie result view. It matches movie concept, and inside this block, it displays a layout. When there is one movie, it will use a layout macro for movie details. When there are multiple movie results, it will use movie summary and movie highlight to display a list of movies. Quick introduction of layout macro. It is used to display, to define the layout in a separate file. Although technically it is possible to define all layout in one view file, this will make this file very large, which is not great for code maintenance. We can define separate file and put the layout there. Let's try running this capsule to see what it can do for us. I'm going to ask it to find some action movies. We notice that it's half cooked. The highlight card is done, but the remainder of movies are shown as a TBD. We are going to complete that in this demo. We are going to open layout macro for movie summary. As we expect, it's displaying TBD for now. I'm going to delete the implementation, and I would like to use a cell card to complete that. Instead of writing, let's say I'm not very familiar with the cell card. In that case, I can navigate to Bixby Developer Center to learn about how to use. I'm searching for cell card, and from the search result, I'm opening cell card. It gives me description and screenshot. This one looks like the one I'm going to create. I'm going to copy the code snippet there, paste that into Bixby Studio. Let's look what we have here. So cell card, in the first slot, I'm displaying image with a certain URL. For my capsule, I need to display movie poster URL here. I'm happy with using shape of square for my capsule. And in slot 2, it has 2 text slots. For my use case, I need to display only one. And in that slot, I'm going to display movie title. Now we can navigate to simulator, rerun the query. We expect to see cell card displaying poster image and movie title. One enhancement I would like to make is adding secondary slot that will display movie genre information. I just added that. Go to simulator, rerun. We will see genre information showing up in the secondary slot. This thumbnail card looks nice, but let me try using image card instead of thumbnail card. We are back to Bixby Studio. We are going to open layout for movie highlight. It's currently using thumbnail card. I'm going to change it to image card. Then this will look, and they share most of the parameters. So I'm going to delete only 2 of them that are not relevant for image card. Then I'm going to change the objective from contain to cover because I want the image to cover the whole cars. So I'm going to run the query again. This will display image card. There are many customizing options you can use in image card. For instance, you can put the text below the image so that it's easier to read. The text will show up below the image. So we just finished creating list view. The next step is creating details view. For this demo, I'm going to use space resort capsule. Space resort capsule, in a similar way, the view is defined in details layer macro. Let's run this capsule to see how it currently looks. I switch to space resort, and I'm going to ask it to find some space resorts on Mercury. And I'm going to look at the details view of the Mercurial resort. It's using image carousel component to display images, photos of the resort. Then title, it displays the resort name, description, and amenities below. Let's look at the the change I'd like to make to this details view. Instead of image carousel, I'm going to use image list and move that to below the paragraph. And I'd like to change the font size from large to extra large and make that left aligned. Here's the code for the details view. We can see that it's using image carousel as the first item, and it has a title area to display resort name and planet name. Below that, it has a paragraph component displaying description. The first change was to turn this image carousel into image list. Because they share the same parameter, I just need to rename the component to image list. I'm going to move that below paragraph. Then text size, instead of title L, I'm going to change it to title XL. And alignment, I want it to be start aligned. Now we expect to see those changes in simulator. It's using image list component. The text is larger and start aligned. One more change is adding review rating information to the capsule. I'm going to add slot 3, which will use a single line component to display review rating stars. And the URL for that image is imagestar.png. I need 3 images, and below that I'm going to display one text that will say certain number of reviews. The size of this text, I want it to be detail L. Because I want to use the image to match the same height as text, I copied the styles to them and added a spacer between image and text to have some extra spacing between those. When I run this query again and navigate to the detail view, now we can see review rating information. That completes the second part of the demo. So Bixby views can be used to build a detailed result view, but you can also use Bixby views to create input view. For example, you can use it to take phone number input. Let's come up with some query that will require phone number input. Call me back with hotel deals. And it's asking for phone number from me. There's no text input that I can type into. I'm going to fix that problem. So I navigate to Bixby Studio, open up phone number input view. It's currently empty. Like the previous example, maybe I'm not familiar with how to use a text input. I'm going to open Bixby Developer Center, search for text input. And this is a screenshot. This looks very much like the one I need for the phone number input. I'm going to copy code snippet, paste it into editor. I just need to change this full name to phone number. So this input view matches phone number, and the dialog message to display will be phone number. What is your phone number? And ID will be phone number again. It will display phone number as the label, and it will match type. We don't want any max length constraint, so we are going to delete them. Now, this input view will render a form of text input with this phone number label. Let's just see if it works. I just ran the query. Yes, it displays the text input. Now I can type some number. Now I start to notice some issue. There is no input validation. I would like to add this and make it properly formatted for phone number. I go to Bixby Developer Center again, and I notice there is a pattern option. And inside that, I see that, oh, I can use a regular expression or mask pattern, or I can even set email pattern too. I'm going to use a mask pattern to format the phone number properly. I'm back into editor, and I'm going to add pattern, then mask. For phone number, I'm going to use 30 and 40. Back to simulator and running the same query. Now when I type number, it's properly formatted to number, and I cannot type in any alphabet. When you try this interface on mobile phone, instead of a full-size keyboard, it will display number-only keyboard, which is convenient to use. So Bixby views can be used for input view as well. As you have seen, Bixby view make it easy to create a good-looking UI. But here are a few design tips you may use to create even better user experience. There are 3 simple tips. Get straight to the point, dialogue and content work together, deliver what users need. Looking at some good and bad example is a good way to learn. So let me show you a few examples. Find the best space result on Venus. Left side is a good example of getting straight to the point because it keeps it simple and minimal. On the right side, it's displaying just too much information in the summary view. For example, when to display review rating information, it's using numeric number combined with the rather redundant smiley face icon. One more example, what is the error quality on Venus today? Left side is a good example of dialogue and content working together. In the dialogue, it says error quality index is 24. In the content area, it has this big green dot and good, which tells the interpretation of that number. On the right side, number 24 is repeated in the dialogue and content area. And for me to actually understand what 24 means, I have to read this small, tiny text below it. The third example is where is Venus? We want to deliver what user needs based on user's question. When it's technically possible, when user asks where is Venus, we want to give us simple answer that, such as it is currently 162 million miles away. Instead of giving them a long paragraph of text, user have to read to find the answer. The second part of this presentation is around the cross-device. Bixby View allows you to add easy-to-use delightful UI, and that UI works across devices. Why do we care about cross-device? There are multiple good reasons, and one way to go about it is to look at Samsung homepage and browse through menu. There are smartphone devices, tablet device, wearable device with watch and Galaxy Buds, computers, TVs, home audio, soundbar, appliance section. It has 9 different, completely different devices. And if you navigate to smartphone, there are just smart things. And smart things include all smart things compatible device from many manufacturers. From user point of view, if they can use the same capsule you create on their all different devices, it will be very convenient. From capsule developer point of view, that will be also great for brand engagement and loyalty. But if it's too expensive to target new devices, cross-device support may not make much economic sense. That's why we improved Bixby View to enable cross-device portability. The main approach is to make components adapt to multiple target devices. Think of this scenario in Bixby Studio, you write image card, and you write it inside the base directory, which is shared across all devices. So when this image card is run, it will be optimized for automatic option for target devices. It will look and work different. For example, on mobile device with the touch display, user will be able to scroll using touch. On TV, which does not have touch but has remote controller, user will be able to navigate using remote controller, and it will use a horizontal layout that's optimized for landscape display. On watch, what's important is that that we can display same amount of information that was possible on mobile. And on watch, we display more number of lines of text to make sure that we can display same number of characters as mobile. This automatic adaptation approach will work for many cases, but we know that there will be some edge cases this is not sufficient. And we believe that developers shouldn't be blocked. That's why we provide device-specific layout. For example, you can create base layout that will work for most devices. When you want to optimize the layout for watch, you can create separate layout inside the Bixby-watch directory. Once you do that, when it's running on watch, it will be using watch-specific layout, while other devices using a layout automatically adapted from the base layout. Let's try, it's time for the third demo of targeting different devices. We are going to use a movie agent capsule to add more targets. In movie agent capsule, it's currently targeting only mobile devices. We are going to add 3 more targets to it: TV, fridge, and watch. And as you can see, there's only base directory here. So what the layout defined in base directory will be used for all 4 different target devices. Let me open the simulator and switch it to movie agent capsule and toggle to the TV device. Now we are looking at TV. We are going to search for find action movies. Now it's using horizontal layout, and instead of a touch, I'm using a left-right key to navigate around the capsule. Let me try that on fridge. Fridge has a large screen display, So to make use of larger screen, instead of a single column, it's using 2 columns so that less scrolling is necessary to see all movie information. On watch, as I mentioned, to display same amount of information that was possible on mobile, we display more lines of text to accommodate for tiny screen. Now let's see some issue with watch display, something we are going to fix by adding device-specific layout. I'm going into a detailed view of this movie, and we notice that there is a text truncation happening with the runtime. It's because it's using HBox component, which doesn't scale well for the watch. We're going to fix this problem by migrating this one into cell area component. To do that, I'm going to open Bixby Studio, and let's point out where that issue is first. So I opened the movie details layout macro. It's using HBox component here. This is where the problem is. I'm going to copy this layout to use as a baseline for new watch layout. New layout. And this, I want to use this layout for watch. Let me name it movie details. And I'm going to use the original layout as the baseline. And this HBox is the problem. Instead of that, I want to use cell area. Cell area has 2 slots, and it has a primary and secondary text input. For the primary, I can copy this movie year information. For the secondary, I copy year. We want to do the same for runtime. So I'm going to duplicate image cell area, copy runtime into the secondary slot, copy actual runtime value into primary. Now, this HBox has been migrated to cell area. Now I can delete this HBox. Similarly, we should be able to migrate the second HBox. For the demo purpose, let me delete the second HBox. One minor layout adjustment I'd like to add is the ordering. It will look nice if I put the secondary above the primary. So I set that order on the layout. Now we can go to simulator rerun. When we look at the details, we expect to see a cell area with no text truncation. This automatic adaptation works for result view, but it also works for input view as well. For instance, calendar component, it will look and work differently based on the target device. Let's try this query of booking that will require calendar component. I will run it on mobile first. Book resort on Mars. And when I pick one, it will display touch-based calendar I can use. And it has a vertical scrolling interface. If I use the same input view on TV, it will display horizontal layout that I can navigate around using TV remote, like that. And I can select region, like that. And select the date interval this way. The third part of this presentation is about developer friendliness. Bixby View allows you to add easy-to-use life UI that works across device, and all these features are available in a developer-friendly way. As you have seen the demo, you can use autocomplete in Bixby Studio to type all parameters easily. Also, you can use to explore different layout options it provides. Bixby Developer Center has a powerful search where you can look up screenshot and code snippet of all different Bixby components, Bixby Views components. Bixby Studio Simulator, after you create your base layout, you can use Bixby Studio Simulator to try out on different devices. You don't have to buy fridge or TV, Samsung TV to try out. You just need a simulator to verify how they will look on TV, fridge, or watch. And even you can try it out in a certain model of device there too. Just to wrap up, Bixby Views provide these benefits for you. And it provides building blocks for content area. You can create list view, details view, and input view. You can make your capsule work across devices. And when you need to, you can create custom layout for certain devices. All these features are available in a developer-friendly way. Thank you. I will be available for some question and answer after the session in this room.